Hi, I'm Ashley, and this is the corner of the internet where I talk about my knitting and spinning. So last week, my niece and nephew were visiting for the summer, and my mom had this idea of visiting a alpaca farm. So I knew of an alpaca farm that is owned by the store owner of Blazing Star Ranch in Denver, Colorado. It is a store that has spinning wheels, spinning fiber. It's also attached to a, what are those called? Like a high vac. So, like where they fix vacuums and sewing machines, things like that. And so I knew that they had a farm and that they also did tours to have anyone visit the alpacas there. So after I contacted Karen, the lovely owner of both the store and the farm, we got a private tour set up and it was so awesome. Here is the footage of our visit. So Karen was so helpful. She did great on introducing all of the alpacas. She had so many of them and she knew the names of all of them, their age, where they came from. It was super cool. She was very well educated on alpacas and what they need in their environment, their characteristics, and how to breed them in order to get a high quality wool. So after meeting the alpacas, Karen was kind enough to show us some of the fleece that they got from the alpacas because they were recently sheared. They were so beautiful, and one of them was from one of the baby alpacas, which was literally one of the softest things I've ever felt. But one of the fleece that she showed was from a almost like a literally jet black alpaca named Hercules. And I was very curious about this fleece, and I even asked her how much it was and how much she sells them for in weight. And my mom very kindly bought me 1 pound of this alpaca fleece, raw alpaca fleece, from the alpaca named Hercules. And this is just a section of it, and this is what it looks like. So as you can see, This is not clean. It was literally sheared off of the alpaca and placed in a bag. It is a pound, and it was so affordable for what it was. For a whole pound, it was $40. What? And a pound should get me at least 2 sweaters worth. Like, this is 2 sweaters worth of yarn. At least that's what I'm thinking. If I were to spin this yarn to a DK, like between a fingering to DK weight, this would be a couple of sweaters worth of yarn, which is so exciting. But as a lot of you know, working with a raw fleece is going to be quite a process. I am going to have to clean and scour this fleece, comb it, and prepare it in order to be spun. But I am just so excited. I mean, Hercules, this alpaca, was just so jet black, and I remember meeting him, and I was thinking, man, I would love to have like some wool from him so that I could spin it and make it into a garment. So I am just so thrilled and so grateful of my mom of gifting this very special first time for me purchase and experience. Let me go wash my hands since this is a raw fleece, and I mean, it smells like the alpaca. It has not been washed. You can feel the dustiness in it, and yeah, it's dirty. Just to briefly catch you guys up on my projects so far, I was able to spin, wash, and skein up my first skein of my Honer Och Eir fiber. I did end up chain plying my single into this yarn. So this is a 3-ply yarn. It is thicker than what I usually spin, since I usually spin a 2-ply, but this is a 3-ply, and it's reaching about a DK worsted weight in its girth of the yarn. I'm so in love with how this came out. I am so excited to make something with it. I'm already looking at patterns to see what I can create with it. Since I am 3-plying this, I am getting a much shorter yardage than I usually would if I were to 2-ply. So with this skein, which is what I was able to spin onto my bobbin to the point where it was almost completely full, and once I 3 chain plied it, this turned out to be 112 yards. So if I were to continue sectioning out the fiber and spinning it up to this, I think I'm gonna get maybe 450 yards after this 2 bats of Honer Och Eir fiber or wool. So that's not as much as I thought I would get, but I'm hoping that I'll get a little bit more out of these 2 bats. But 450 should be able to get me at least a cropped, somewhat short sleeved sweater. And I'm also looking at possibly making a type of shawl with it. I think that'd be super beautiful too. But I can't wait to get my hands on some more of Honer Och Eir fiber, because this is just such a pleasure to spin, and it feels so textured, and I just know it's going to be so woolly and so warm. And I am just obsessed with the color, this like grungy green. I have not worked with this type of color before, and I'm so excited to wear it. For my sabai top, Um, this is slow in the making just because working flat is driving me a little bit crazy. But I was able to lengthen the back of the top to a point that I think will fit better under my arms once I join in the round. So once I join it under my armpit. So now I have switched back to the front panel and I am knitting back and forth and getting it to a longer length to match the back so that it'll fit better on my top and it won't be so tight under my armpits when I join in the round. So that's what I have so far on my Savai top. I'm hoping to get it in the round here soon, and from there it should be easy and it'll be pretty quick to finish up. For my Misurina tee, I swear this project, I've just started it several times, have decided to change the yarn on it, and it's just been quite the process. But I think I have gotten to a yarn combination that I'm happy with, and I'm working through it, and I'm really happy with how it's turning out. So originally I was knitting this with the Camellia Fiber Co. Flax fingering weight base, which is an alpaca, silk, and linen based yarn. So this is the base color, which is carnation, and I was knitting it with this color Amber Honey, which you can see has some contrast, but it was really low, and the Misurina tee has a very beautiful motif that I really wanted to pop. So I ended up going to a local yarn shop to me. They had some Blue Sky Fibers, which is a brand, and I found this Metallico, which is a sport weight yarn, fingering in sport. I figured it would be fine to make, but this is a 50% alpaca and 50% silk, which is close enough to the base that I'm working with in the Camellia Fiber Co. yarn. And I got it in this color, which is copper. And what was cool is that these came in mini skeins. So this is about what, 160, yeah, about 150 yards. And I am just so much happier with this contrast compared to what I was working with in the Amber Honey color. So this is what I have so far. I am working through the motif and I have finished the lace portion of the yoke as well. And it is just so pretty. The only thing is that I am quite worried about bleeding with this copper color against the carnation. Even just knitting it without blocking it, without getting it wet, I think the copper is already kind of bleeding onto the carnation color just by knitting it. So we'll see. I am just planning on washing this in super cold water and putting like a million dye catchers. You know, I did have a commenter state that dye catchers can actually damage, sorry, that's my rice maker. She mentioned that dye catchers can actually damage certain natural fibers, like the ones that often knitters work with. And so she recommended vinegar. I just don't want to risk trying vinegar for this project, and so I think I'm going to do the dye catchers with this one and then see how vinegar works with future projects, just because I think this one is just going to need some industrial help when it comes to not bleeding. So we'll see how it goes. I'm really hoping it's going to turn out okay, but I'll be as careful as I can so that I can have this beautiful tea when I'm finished with it. So that's what I have for you guys in this week's video. I hope you enjoyed the footage of the alpaca farm. And now I'm going to tag at the end some footage of some coffee shops that I went to and the spinning that I did this week. So make sure to get some crafting in, and I'll see you on the next one.